Today we'll be looking at the failure mode effective analysis, that is FMEA. This is one of the risk assessment tool. Yesterday we discussed about risk assessment methods, right? How do they assess a risk? How do they manage the risk in a particular organization? So today we'll be looking at the tools. So one of the tool for the risk analysis and the impact analysis, etc., is the failure modes effect analysis, right? So where do they apply this? Either in the manufacturing they can apply, design they do apply, and also in the software. So these are the three wide areas where do they apply this FMEA. Okay, so what is this FMEA? So the abbreviation of FMEA stands for failure modes and effects analysis. And what does it mean, or how does it be defined, is that it will recognize, evaluate, and prioritize score and potential failure. So it will identify actions which could eliminate or reduce the chance of potential failure occurring and their effects. Document and share the process. So first is like this is a tool that is used to recognize, okay, what are the risks, where it is occurring, where is it originating, evaluating it and prioritizing the risk, and then looking at the is there any way that it will meet a failure. So if the risk is high, then it may go for the failure. So that is what it does. It will recognize, evaluate and prioritize the risk and look at whether there is a potential failure because of that risk, and identify actions which could eliminate or reduce the chance of potential failure occurring and their effects. So some actions will be identified, so that if you modify that, or if you change, or if you eliminate that item or that action, that may reduce your potential failure of it. And whatever you have done, whether you have modified the process or you have recognized, whatever you have done, you are just documenting and sharing the process. So it'll generate, so all is everything whatever you generate out of the FMEA analysis is being documented. So what is this failure mode? So FMEA has failure modes and effect analysis. So what does this term failure modes tell or mean, is that it's the way in which component, sub-assembly, product, input or process could fail to perform its intended function. Failure modes may be the result of upstream operations or may cause downstream operations to fail. So you're looking at some component or a product or even the process, whether it can perform some action so that it may fail a particular process. So that is what failure mode. Failure mode denotes that when some action is leading to some failure of it. So some function or an action that is leading to failure, that is a failure mode, and you have to identify what is that causing it. So sometimes the failure in upstream, right? So whatever is being failed in upstream may impact the downstream operations. So upstream will cause the downstream operations to fail. In turn, the product will be failed, right? And you check that things that could go wrong. So you identify where the failure is occurring, which process or which action is making that failure to occur. So that is your failure mode. And why FMEA? So it is the most accepted tool for risk analysis. So widely this is being applied in every organizations, like either pharmaceutical sector or even in other sector, right? So why you have to apply this is like it has a methodology that facilitates process improvement, identifies and eliminates concerns early in the development of a process or design. So before the process begin itself, you can identify and eliminate whatever the risks that are associated with it. Improve internal and external customer satisfaction. Focus on prevention. It maybe whatever the customer requirement is kept as a priority, may be required by applicable QMS, that is, the standards will be followed. So whatever standard you are keeping, that is usually when you tell it is a quality, you will talk about ISO. So ISO norms, regulations will be kept in mind while doing the FMEA analysis. So it will also give a structured approach to identifying the ways in which a product or process can fail, estimating risk associated with the specific causes, prioritizing the action, evaluating design, validation plan, etc. So it in short that you can tell that it will identify, it will recognize where the risk is happening well before the process starts, and it will identify the ways which can make the process smooth going. So that is in short FMEA, why it is being widely used. And when to conduct this risk analysis should be done early in the process, not after the process is starting, before the process starts. If any new system or products or process are being designed, also you can apply FMEA. When existing designs are being changed, that is some process or some formula or some instruments or equipments are changed, then also you can apply FMEA. When carryover designs are used in new applications, after system product or process functions are being defined, but before specific hardware is selected or released to manufacturing. That is, before a particular system are defined itself, that is if you want to buy a new computer system or a process or a product, before designing itself you are just looking whether you there is risk associated. Before buying or before purchasing itself you are just looking into the risk analysis of a particular design or a product. So that also can be done with the FMEA. And what are the types? There are two types where you can use this FMEA. The one is at the design stage and one is at the process stage. So design stage is that it will analyze the product design before release to production. That is before the process start or the production start, you look and analyze the design. So that is the design stage. And analyze system and subsystems in early concepts and design stages. So what are the systems involved, subsystems in early concept and design. So before going into the process, you look at the design stage itself and you analyze what are the risks associated. That is one type where you apply a design. And another type where you apply is a process. So once the process starts, so you can analyze like how the product is, whether it is meeting the quality requirement. Okay, if it is not, what is the reason? Whether it is with respect to the manufacturing or the process that is involved. So that is a process FMEA where you apply it. Okay, so it's a tool, and there are so many people who are involved in it because design people should be involved, process engineers are involved, material suppliers will be involved, and customers are involved to do this analysis. And it's a teamwork. It's not that one person is doing this risk analysis, it's a team of people who will be involved in it. And what is the procedure is that first input, right? So what is your input for your pharma is that, or any process is that there will be some raw material and there will be some process parameters, objectives, design consideration, etc. So first is that you identify the first, when you go ahead with the FMEA, you have to look into the input. Okay, so what are the means of input? Is there any risk associated with the raw materials? Second thing is that you identify the failure mode, determine effects. That is, what is the severity of each effect? So once you look at the source where the risk is appearing, whether at the raw materials stage or at the design stage or at the process stage, somewhere you are going to identify where the risk is. Once you do that, the second step what you do is what is the severity level of that risk, whether it is highly severe, medium or low. Okay, and what may be the potential causes for this failure mode? Okay, so what are the causes? You will be listing out what are the causes. There can be more than one causes for some failure, so you'll be listing out. List concurrent controls for each cause. Okay, so you are detecting what are the uh, reasons for some cause. So once you are doing that, that is first is what you have done is which is the source of occurring of the risk, either the raw material or at the design or at the process. You have identified that. Second is severity. You have noted down what is the severity of the risk. And third one is like uh, how your severity is. So if your severity level is high, then it will go to a failure mode. So something has gone to a failure mode, then you're looking at the potential causes of it, and then how can you control these causes so that your failure is not achieved. Okay, so you're listing out the causes for which has caused this failure, and then you are just like trying to control the causes. Calculate risk priority number. There is a small calculation for our RPN, that is severity into detection into the occurrence. So that will give you the RPN. That will it will come later in the same session. Okay, and develop recommend actions, assign responsible person to take actions. So once you take the risk priority number, you know, like it is a numerical value, so you will know like which risk to concentrate on and what are the actions you are going to develop. So there should be an immediate action plan so that you will lower the impact of the risk. And severities which are rated at it will be rated in a 10 scale, and 10 is a high scale. So whatever is being rated at 10 scale for severity will be looked first, and immediate action to be taken so that the severity is reduced and the risk priority number comes to control. And assign the predicted severity, occurrence and detection levels and compare the RM. So you again change your actions and look, calculate, recalculate your RPN and see whether it is in control or not. Okay, so FMEA inputs are like, these are the inputs for calculation and these are the outputs. So what are your inputs? What are the process histories what you have followed? What are the procedures you have followed? And there is some analysis, or there is a comparative analysis what you have done, or is there some past experience in your product? So these may be the inputs for your analysis. Process history is that the previous history. Okay, procedures, what are the procedures you have followed, and that will be the input. And some knowledge based, that is design, okay, components, etc. Experience, whether you have a bad experience before, or what are the experience about producing a product. So all this will be the inputs to do the analysis, and they do the analysis, and after the analysis there will be some action plan that is being developed, so that there will be list of actions that is being developed so that it will bring down the failure. Okay, so you will do some action so that your failure is being reduced and your risk will be finally reduced. So what are these three terms? So these three are very important for calculating the risk: severity, occurrence and detection. What is severity? Is that importance of the effect on customer requirement. Okay, so customer is kept in mind, and then whether your product or the risk is affecting the customer requirement, so that is being checked. Occurrence is like, what is the frequency in which the failure is occurring, so that is occurrence. Detection, are you able to detect and control that? So this may be a difficult step to detect, like where exactly the risk is happening and what is the causative for it, and then eliminate that particular risk. Okay, so these three terms are very important. Severity is on customer requirement. Occurrence, how frequently it is occurring, and detection is like where exactly the risk is happening and making the process to fail. So what are the rating scales? Is like it may be from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. So 1 to 5, some people uses as 1 to 5 where the scale is marked till 5, whereas 1 to 10 scale is most widely or most commonly used, where the rating is based upon the 1 to 10 scale. Okay, so severity 1 is not severe because the scale is from 1 to 10, which normally most commonly all the organizations will follow. So 1 is not severe and 10 is very severe. Okay, and somewhere around 5 to 6 will be medium and mediumly severe, and occurrence is similarly to that, and detection is also similar to that. So if it is 1 means it is very easy to detect where the problem is, and 10 means it is not easy to detect where the problem is. Okay, and your calculation of RPN is based upon the severity, occurrence, and detection, which will lead to the RPN. This is a score, it's a numerical number. Because severity you have graded to 1 to 10 scale, occurrence is from also 1 to 10, detection is also from 1 to 10. So the maximum RPN number will be 10 into 10 into 10. So it will be 1000, and the least will be 1 into 1 into 1, which is 1. Okay, so the severity of the risk will be, or the risk will be calculated using the RPN number. So let us look at the case study, okay, where how do they deal with the risk management in a pharma sector. Okay, so pharma sector, you can see that there is a input, process, and output. Okay, so input are the raw materials what you require, and you have a process. You have a process where the exact process of the manufacturing will happen, and final is the output where the product is formed. So from the pharma the product expected is the tablet or the medical devices. So now the output should be like, it should be satisfied, customer should be satisfied, and input is based upon the customer requirements, so whatever product they want or whatever services they require, and you design the process parameters, and there will be control points to do that, and finally the output whether it is satisfying the customer or not. So this is a cycle what the pharma is following, or any organization for that case. So we will be everywhere there will be risk and possibility of failure or exposure to danger may happen. So you have to do it. So mainly in the pharma sector, you have to abide by this guideline. That is ICH-Q9 guideline, whereas it is ICH stand for International Conference on Harmonization. So your risk calculation and whether your product is success or not depends upon these guidelines. Okay, you have to abide by it, especially in pharma sector. It is very strict that you have to abide by this guideline. Okay, so how do you manage the risk? Is like first you assess it, right? You identify it, control it, communicate it, and then review the risk so that further it should not happen. So, everything, the risk assessment, identification, control, and review, everything will be based upon this ICH guidelines. Okay, so this we have discussed yesterday that how they do the risk assessment, how they risk control, and their risk review will be done, and it will be communicated, and then it will be some management tools will be there. Which what management tool we are discussing today is the FMEA tool, right? Which is widely used for the risk management. Right, so this is a cycle which for where the any sector will follow for the risk analysis and management, and especially in pharma, it should abide by ICH-Q9. Okay, so this ICH-Q9 is kept with respect to the ISO guidelines because quality should be met. So both the medical devices and the tablet or the uh, drugs both has to follow these both things, that is ICH guidelines as well as the ISO, that is the quality maintenance, and your risk assessment and management will be based upon both of this. Okay, so more or less the analysis, evaluation, control, prediction will be more or less same for both ICH guidelines and ISO guidelines in managing the risk. Okay, so this is widely used in pharma for analysis of the risk. So it's a new approach to manage the risk for in medicines. So what are the type of risk you can see in medicines is that there may be side effects, there may be some uh, unwanted allergic reactions, or the drug may not be efficacy the efficient, so efficacy of the drug should be checked. So these may be the dangers that may be associated with the pharma product, especially with the medical devices. It may be inappropriate testing and inappropriate detection of the specimen, etc. So these may be the problem that are associated with the pharma product, and FMEA is widely used in analyzing the risk with respect to the medicines as well as the medical devices. So what are the types of FMEAs? Design and process. Design will include the parts components or subcomponents. Process will include some man, method, material, machines, and the other FMEA, this is negligible. So it is with respect to the service, system, and the concept. Okay. So these are the two types, main types of the FMEA, which has to be even followed here. And your risk analysis will be based upon the cost analysis and time. You can see this graph is being plotted against the cost and time, right? So if you're overshooting the cost or if you're overshooting the time also, that is not a very good sign. So that is also a risk associated with delivering a product because customer requires a product in time and it should be within the required budget. Okay, so conception is starting with respect to the market analysis. So when you release a product, especially in the medical sector, when you release a product, you have to thoroughly do the market analysis. So what is a who is a competitor available, and what is a uh, similar? Is there any similar drugs that is available in the market, and uh, why a doctor is preferring a particular drug, why he is prescribing that, the reasons for that. So there should be a lot of requirement here that has to be compiled. Unless and until you do this successfully, your product will be again meeting a failure. And research and development is that specifications to initial samples, that is, you design based upon some suppliers and initial sample, and you design the system, that is prototype design, or the production design will be done using some software tools or even some prototyping, and then the mass production will be done. So every step of a particular process, that is starting from the uh, conception till the mass production, you can see that FMEA is being applied. And you can see here, initially you apply the system FMEA, and then you, especially with the research and development and the design stage, you go with the design FMEA. Further to the process stage, you will be going with the process FMEA. So you will do the risk, you will use these tools and analyze the risk at every point of time. Okay, so there is a chart like this. Okay, where is what is the process function, process failure mode. Okay, uh, potential effects on failure of product, severity of the risk, potential causes, occurrence, how frequent it is occurring, current process control, detection, and the RPN calculation. So this is how the chart will look, right? Okay, so it will be a teamwork to assess the FMA. There will be one team who will be discussing and finding out all the parameters here, right? So, what are the process steps under a particular analysis that has to be listed down? So, instead of looking at an example of a pharma sector, like how the tablet is produced, sometimes if you're not aware of the steps, it may be a complicated example I may give you today. So, that is why I thought I'll take a very simple example like your customer wants a coffee, and when you are making a coffee, like what are the risks associated and how do you assess the risk. Okay, it's just for understanding the RPN number and severity. I have taken this example. So what is the customer requirement is taste. Okay, that is whether what is the temperature of the coffee, what is the strength of the coffee. So this will be the customer requirement, and you can satisfy the customer based on these three parameters, right? Taste, strength, and temperature. This is a quality requirement also. Okay, so input is a raw material. This is a machine you are going to make, that is a coffee maker, and there is a person who is going to do it, and this is the output. That is, the coffee is being produced like this. So input material, processing, and then the output. Right? This is the steps. Everyone are aware of the steps, right? Coffee making. Pour coffee into the maker. Place filter in maker. Okay, put coffee in filter, turn maker on, set the temperature for a hot coffee. So once you receive the order, put it into the cup of a cream or sugar or the uh, customer want. Okay, and then complete the order and say thank you. That is, the coffee is delivered. And now the customer will taste the coffee and tell whether he is fine with it or not. Right? So these are the procedures. You put the water, okay, you put a filter, you turn it on, set the temperature, and you make your coffee. Right? So now you know what are the process function in it. Pour water into the maker is a process. Okay, all these are process functions, right? That are associated. So you're listing down the process functions there. Okay, the first column. Okay, and if something is wrong, that is either the strength is not good, or the temperature is not good, okay, or the taste is not good, this may be the problem. Okay, so once you are uh, pouring the water in the maker, okay, what happens is like the coffee, that is output coffee, if it is not good, then it means that, okay, there may be a wrong amount of water added, or there may, if the coffee maker is not cleaned, okay, and more or less sugar or coffee powder. So these are the problems with respect to this process. Okay, your process is pouring water. So in case there is no proper cleaning of the machine that has happened, or wrong amount of water added, or sugar added, or coffee powder added, what will happen is the taste, it will impact the taste and customer will not be satisfied. So this may lead to the failure of the quality requirement of the customer. Wrong. Okay. Now, so you have listed out what are the potential failure mode. Now, potential effects of failure on product. That means you have listed down what are the problems that may be occurring with the pouring of water. Maybe there is a wrong amount of water. These are the potential failures that can happen. Okay, and how this failure is going to impact your product. So if you add the wrong amount of water, what will happen? The coffee will become more strong, or too strong. If less amount of water, it will be too strong, or it will be not. It will be kind of diluted coffee. It will not be strong. Okay, so these are the impact of this failure mode on the product. Okay, wrong amount of water leads to this. Coffee maker is not clean, it will lead to the contamination of coffee. The color will change, taste will change, and it is not favorable. More or less sugar added or coffee powder added, it will directly impact the change in taste of the coffee. Fine. So these are the effects that are being done based upon this failure. So you identify the process, what are the failures with the process that is possible, and what are the impacts. And now you're looking at the severity of these effects. Okay? Coffee too strong or weak, how it is, whether this action is severe or not. So severity, occurrence, and detection should be graded in a scale of 1 to 10. Okay? So now you're going to grade it. Okay? So high means very dangerous. Okay? Moderate means okay, it is. So medium danger, low means no much uh, risk or no much problem is being associated with that. So failure will be not noticed by the customer. Okay, so it is from the scale of 1 to 10, right? And each number is defined. One, very minor, minor, very low. So the numbers are defined. Okay, how to put the number. So you cannot randomly mark, right? You have to look at this number and you're now going to mark it against the severity there. Okay, so coffee is too strong or weak. How does it affect the customer? So keeping customer in mind, the severity should be put. So you would have seen the layer, previous thing that severity is based upon the customer requirement. Coffee too strong or weak. What is the severity of the risk is 8. Okay, that is, what's the level of 8? Very high, right? Because most of us want it in the exact way. Contaminated coffee is not accepted at all. Looking at the coffee itself will give back or return to the person. So it is 10. Change in taste in coffee, as most of the people will notice, but some people will ignore. So it is in the rate of 7. So 7 is also high risk, right? So keeping customer in mind, keeping the safety, keeping the guidelines in mind is that these ratings are being given. Okay, so all the things are being rated now. Severity is being rated. Now, next is, what are the causes for this failure? Okay, how did they add the wrong amount of water? Okay, maybe there are two reasons for it. Maybe there is the level in the marker is not to be seen properly. That is faded level marker on the coffee maker. And the person is not attentive. He just poured the water just like that and he is not very keen in looking at the level of the coffee water to be added in the coffee maker. Okay, so you have looked at the causes of failure of these things. Okay, right? You are asking why. Why is that wrong amount of water is added? Maybe the faded level of marker, maybe the person is not effective. Okay, why the coffee maker is not clean? Definitely, it is because of the person who is working there. He is not very keen in cleaning the coffee, or he is lazy, or he has just ignored the step of cleaning the coffee maker. So it directly upon the person. The person is not at all attentive or keen on cleaning the coffee maker. Okay, more or less coffee powder added. Why? Maybe again the person is not attentive. Also, sometimes the person is uh, not knowing how much to add. Right? Person has no knowledge of adding how much of sugar to be added or coffee powder to be added. So in such cases, the person is a new person who you have appointed for coffee making, and the person has no knowledge. So in such cases, you have to train him, right? But these are like faded level on marker, you have to rectify the machine. Whereas a person is not attentive, it is directly going to the person. So you are looking, you are questioning yourself, like what may be the mistake, what has happened, what may be the causative for this potential failures. That is wrong amount of coffee, water that is added, why? More or less coffee powder, why? So you are listing out the causes for failure. Okay, you have listed out your. Hmm? Fine. So why it is not clean? Coffee maker is not washed properly. So one failure mode, that is, if wrong amount of water is added, there are three reasons for it. See, causes. So for one failure mode, the causes may be three, one, or more than that. Okay, so wrong amount of water may be due to the faded level, person is not attentive, and person is not having knowledge. So one failure mode is amounting to three different causes. And here coffee maker not clean again, it is not washed properly, or the person is not attentive again, there may be two or three causes of this failure. So one failure mode will have two or three effects and causes are more. Okay, fine. So one failure mode will have one or more effects, and for each effect, the causes may be one or more. Okay, that is what is being given in this picture. Fine. So now you have done with the causes of failure. And how frequent is that causes occurring? That is your occurrence level. Okay. How frequent is that faded level on market, person not attentive, person with no knowledge, or coffee maker not clean? So how frequently it is occurring? So again you have to grade to 1 to 10 scale. Okay. 1 to 10 scale. So how are you grading? Again, it's based upon the guidelines. 1 to 10, it is being again given. Okay. So 1 to 5 is, 1 to 3 is low. 4 to 6 is moderate. 7 to 8 is highly moderate or high risk, and this is very high risk or occurrence that is been happening. So like the numbers are given. 1 per day means one time per day it is happening, very high risk. One per week means again high, but at the rating of 8. Okay. One per 3 months moderate. 1 to 3 years it is very low. 1 greater than 5 years means it is very less. So there is occurrence is being given again measured on time basis, right? How frequent it is occurring, right? And you're grading it. Faded level of marker only when the coffee maker is used more, there will be fading that is happening. So that is only occurrence is 3. Person not attentive, see 8. Most of the time he is not attentive. And person with non-knowledge is like sometimes it is happening like 4. 4 in the sense it is occurring how many times? 1 per year. Okay. So this is based upon the guidelines they have framed this. Okay, you can reduce this also. For some process it may not be years, etc. So when you reduce it, it should be proportionally reduced. Okay, you are putting the occurrence in the scale again. Next is how to control now. Okay, how to control. Okay, the first one, faded level marks on the marker can be controlled by visual inspection. So before pouring the water itself, you have to have a visual inspection, or before giving the machine to the process itself, you are going for a visual inspection. Person not attentive, you cannot do anything, right? It is better that you educate him in a better way. So actually you cannot control the person, it depends upon the person who are working. It is better to remove the person and put a new person. Even the new person will also cause problem, right? So person with no knowledge, he is ready to help, but he is not having knowledge. You have to give adequate training. So this every shop will have its own specialty in making coffee. So you have to train him. How I make a coffee will be definitely different from how you make it. So you have to train the person based upon the uh, way how you have to do the coffee, right? And then how good you can detect this. Okay. So visual inspection you can detect very easily. So that also has to be graded from 1 to 10 scale now, and there is a chart for that also. See, detection ratings, there is a chart. Okay. Uh, so here detection, like if it is impossible to detect, right, where the problem is occurring, if you are not possible to detect, then your number is 10. Product is acceptable based on no defects in the sample, 8. Okay, still that is you are not able to identify the problem here again. That is if the product is accepted. So it is 8, right? Product is 100% manually inspected using go, no go, or other mistake proof gauges. That is moderate. And if you can detect it very frequently, it is 1. So your detection is graded again from 1 to 10, right, based upon these criteria. Okay, so you put the number. Visual inspection, yes, you can detect very easily. 4 trainings you can do to the person. It doesn't take much time. You train the person. 5, none. This person not attentive, you have given none. You cannot detect the person, so you can see none here is in this place, right? You cannot find where the detection is. This is you cannot inspect at all. That is impossible to detect. You can detect where the problem is, that is which is with a person, but what is a how to control or how to detect is not being very clear. That is why you have given a rating here as 8. None is 8. Okay. So most difficult to detect will be the highest number, and if it's easily detectable, it will be lower number. Now you calculate RPN, which is severity into occurrence into detection. So you get a numerical value here, right? So the first row it is 96, second row it is 640, and third row it is 140. So first stage is done. Your risk assessment is done on a numerical basis. Now you have to control and bring down this RPN number. So RPN number, so minimum number is 1 into 1 into 1, which is 1. Maximum number, as it is all graded to the 10 scale, it is 10. So 10 into 10 into 10, which is 1000. Okay. So it is, so that based upon the number, it is being, if it is greater than 300, it is critical. 125 to 300 is major. Less is minor. Okay, less than 125 is minor risk. So if you look at our table, the case study what we have taken, so 96 is minor, this is medium, and this is highly risky. So first you will look at the highly risky one to control and bring into limit, right? So that is what you have to do now. So when you look at this RPN number, right? So you look at uh, the three different cadres. So one is low risk, medium, and high risk. And how does this number come down if you reduce this? Okay, out of these three, severity occurrence detection, which should be concentrated first is the severity. Okay, severity of the risk should be concentrated first. Okay, so when you reduce this, further to that, the other two also will be proportionally reducing. So now severity typically stays the same. This can only be changed through product or process redesign. Occurrence is the primary item to reduce. Detection is reduced only at the last resort. So you have to now plan and then reduce the severity, occurrence, and detection. So in our case, wrong amount of water, severity is 8. And here the severity is high, 10. So first you have to look at this figure and reduce it. You bring it to a lower limit. So once you reduce this, the occurrence will be reduced, and whether you can detect or not, that also will reduce. Yes, it will be easily detectable, right? So now, and you do the action plan. You can see here there is an action plan that is done. So the first one, wrong amount of water, they have reduced the equipment, that is, they replace the coffee maker. So once they have replaced, they have dated when they have replaced, so all the other things have been reduced. So you can see the RPN number has reduced to 48. So from 96, it has reduced almost to 50%. And you can see here the storage and inspection standards has been done for the coffee. So if you have some person to inspect it, then your risk, this can be reduced. So occurrence and uh, detection is reduced again, and then you can see that it is reduced to 120. Okay, again, more or less you have to give more training to the people. So standard measurements, so you're giving a small measuring cup. Okay, this you're giving a tablespoon to measure the coffee, or for coffee powder and sugar, and you're telling, okay, half a teaspoon to be done. You have trained the person of using those standard measurements, and you have reduced the risk, and it has come to 63. Right? So RPA number is reduced, telling that the process, the risk is now reduced. Okay, so everything is within the limit, everything is within the minimum limit. So 125 is the minimum one, right? So it is all within the limit, and so you can go ahead with the customer satisfaction. Now you can tell when your RPA number is this, you can tell 100% the customer is satisfied according to his need. So you identify the risk. So there's a thumb rule. So just to brief you that wherever the 10 it is told as a high, so you will identify the process which to be identified based upon this 10 number, right? So first priority is for this. Severity is the first priority. Occurrence is second priority. Detection is the third priority. So how do you choose the cases is like based upon the figure 10, and if it is for the first one, yes, you have to choose this. Second one this, and this will be second to be concentrated, and this will be the third one to be concentrated. You will be reducing the RPN number, right? So these are so many examples, like especially in biotech sector. I have taken a simpler example, but if you take in a biotech sector or a pharma sector, these are the things, right, to be taken care. Cell culture production from bioreactor, what is the depth of filtration, what is the, if you are using a column for affinity, okay, what is the failure mode, what is the effect of failure, what is the severity number, potential causes. So for our biotechnological example also, you have to list out all this thoroughly, what are the causes of this failure mode and how frequently it is occurring. Okay, what are the control you can do, like for the bioreactor, right? One row I'll just explain. Okay, you can just go through the other things in detail. So for the cell culture production from bioreactor, the failure mode is poor cell growth. Okay, in such cases, the titer value will be reduced. Okay, titer value of the cell will be reduced. So the severity is more. So it is greater than 10. So what is the causality of this poor cell growth is how does this failure mode will affect us? Low product title, so severity is high. What is the reason for this is potential cause, right? Improper growth condition, that is the hormones may be not be right, the media will not be added properly. So occurrence, how frequently occurring is 4. So how do you monitor? You monitor the process, that is how much of media is added, how much of hormones are added. You're monitoring or you're inspecting before adding, so you can control it. And your it is a the detection level is here 7, so your priority number is 280, which is high again, which is that is medium. Okay, and whatever procedure you are involved here, you have to bring into control so that your RPN number will be further reduced. Like this, it's a similar way you have for everything, that is affinity, the columns used, if it is filtration, what is the filter you use, how frequently you are changing the filter, etc. And ultrafiltration, diafiltration also you use. So for every equipment will have this failure mode and all this analysis, calculating of RPN, and then you do some actions to reduce this RPN number. Okay. So you will quantify everything and put into a table and calculate, and then you have to bring those into uh, control. So this is the simplified table how the grading is given, right? In case the previous table, if it is very difficult to follow, this is very simple to follow, right? Severity is death, right? Once a year, or how probability, how it is occurrence, and what is the detection level. So it's a simple table that is being modified for the ratings. Okay, so this is a template which is a standard template for all the pharma sectors to follow. So this is a thing. Put all the parameters here, calculate. Next to this will be the actions. Say RPN is calculated here, actions recommended, actions taken, then final words are repeated. So this is a universal template that is being calculated. So knowing the RPN number, you know what is the severity of the risk and you are taking the action to reduce. And hence this tool is for both analyzing the risk as well as the managing the risk. So it is a widely used tool in the pharma sector for analyzing the risk as well as to managing them. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your time. Okay, so if any doubts, you can definitely put in the comment section. Thank you.